YouTube influencers in France and Germany have been offered money by a strange PR company if they falsely tell their followers that the Pfizer vaccine is responsible for hundreds of deaths. So this company is called Pfizer or Faz, I don't know how you pronounce it, and they may have connections to, wait for it, Russia. Cue lightning bolt strike. Pfizer, which said it was an quote influencer marketing platform connecting bloggers and advertisers, claimed to be based at 5 Percy Street in London, but is not registered there. On Tuesday, it closed its website and made its Instagram account private. The agency contacted several French health and science YouTubers last week and asked them in poor English to quote, explain the death rate among the vaccinated with Pfizer is almost 3 times higher than the vaccinated by AstraZeneca. We love AstraZeneca. Sorry, that's how I imagine. So the influencers were told to publish links on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Reddit to the reports in Le Monde, which is the first outlet that broke the story, about a leaked report containing data that supposedly substantiates the claim. And so one of those influencers went to Twitter and posted like what had happened and what he received. So he writes, it's strange. I received a partnership proposal which consists of breaking down the Pfizer vaccine on video, colossal budget, client who wants to remain incognito, and you have to hide the sponsorship. Ethics, if you see these videos, you'll know it's an op then. And I think he continues to post. Just before you, I just want to read the whole thing. This is part of the email that he received. It says, important. Don't use the words advertising, sponsored content in your posts and stories. They should look like advice to the audience. Present the material natively. Act like you have the passion and interest in the topic. Present the material at your own independent view. Tell them the mainstream media ignores this topic and that you decided to share it with your subscribers. But question like, why some governments actively purchasing Pfizer vaccine, which is dangerous to health of people? They said the people, but I just wanted to do it like that. Like, oh my God, guys, hey, you ever wonder why like hundreds of people are dying from the Pfizer vaccine? Can I have my money now?
Yeah. That's the way, and that's the a way of the future now. They're thinking, we've talked about all these other stories about how, there's this opposition to social media users and social media companies and all that stuff, because they're so hell bent on that, because that's such a strong tool they'd like to use to push propaganda, lies, whatever else they need to do to convince the general public of whatever it is they need to manipulate us with. The problem has been there's way too much information along these lines, many of which is true, many of which is false. They got to make sure they flood the whole system with too much of the misinformation that people just kind of go, well, I saw this one influencer do it because I listened to whatever Kylie says. Sorry, I'm not implicating Kylie in this specifically as if she got any of this. But that's the general idea, to make sure that we use what we hate while we say we hate it for our own benefit. It's a manipulation of the entire system. And I don't know why they don't think people, maybe some of these influencers would be like, this is weird. I'm gonna go public with this, because that's what influencers like to do. They like to make news. They like to get known for something. And maybe it's not always just about money and the potential partnerships and ad money they can get for this. Maybe a few of them actually believe in the things that they do and say, and that's where the surprise came for these guys.
Totally, I love how it's like they're trying to fire festival their way into like the vaccine disinformation, But weirdly, they targeted like science YouTubers who, look, I'm not saying they've got PhDs, but they talk about science. They know a bit about vaccines. You're not targeting lip gloss, folks or makeup artists or whatever. You might have wanted to target them if you want people who are gonna be as gullible around like, bogus vaccine science. Of course, what's the Russia connection? Just, to actually seal that deal. The French investigative website Fact and Furious, which I love that name of a site, but I also like slightly sus, posted a mail or email describing Pfizer's budget as quote considerable, and the fee as the rate you wish. According to LinkedIn, Pfizer's management comes from Moscow and has worked for an agency reportedly founded by a Russian entrepreneur. And apparently this is like not unique. So Russian and Chinese PR companies obviously want to promote their own vaccines, which is interesting because that's not what they did here, and I want to talk about that. But an EU study last month accused the Russian and Chinese media of, quote, state-sponsored disinformation aimed at sowing mistrust in Western vaccines by sensationalizing safety concerns, making, quote, unfounded links between shots and deaths in Europe, and promoting Russian and Chinese vaccines as superior. But AstraZeneca, right, isn't actually either a Russian or a Chinese vaccine. I think the Russian one is Sinopharm, and Sputnik, of course, is Russia's. But they still want to take, Pfizer down a peg. I mean,
it's weird though. Again, if you think about it, the general approach to distrust in the vaccine, maybe a certain small percentage of it is based on certain ones, but I haven't heard many people who are curious or distrusting in the vaccine to go, well, yeah, Johnson & Johnson, I don't trust that one, but I do trust AstraZeneca. And I don't trust Moderna. Like, usually it's across the board. It's not really many things where people will go like, yeah, I'm gonna take that vaccine, but the other one. There's some, I'm sure. But as far as the broad range of people who want to push down the vaccine use, it's never based off of which one.
Right.
It's usually based off of vaccine. The vaccine does this, it does this, it does that. Which one? We don't really always say that. Now there has been that stuff, but I don't think they're hitting their target necessarily with this kind of approach.
No, yeah. I mean, what's interesting to me is that you're basically saying that the large majority of disinformation is basically from anti-vaxxers and right-wingers from Fox News to, Dan Bongino on Facebook, who are like, yeah, no, distrust all the vaccines. This is actually countries that are like, no, trust ours more, trust ours a little bit more, even though they're less effective. Maybe you need 3 Sputnik shots to get to 1 Pfizer. For me, obviously, this is something I've been griping about since the beginning of the vaccination rollout, which is the fact that we should have the same vaccine, that intellectual property rights around this stuff are total BS, and that we would easily nip it in the bud if you just had broader access to the vaccine, if there was more internationalism when it came to global health crises, if obviously Trump hadn't entirely left the World Health Organization, because that's what authoritarians do. Like, they're like, no, me first, me best. That's it.
Said it at his inauguration.
Absolutely. I alone can kill 500,000 of you. God, imagining knowing then what we know now about Donald Trump, I would have never voted for him, JR. Let me just tell you, I feel like he was a massive failure.
Who would have known? It's like he didn't tell us this. My final thought is this, so the common denominator here is the money, of course, but it goes across both realms of it. So the money based off of, we wanna make sure our vaccine is this one versus that one. We can't have this normalized version of the vaccine, or at least shared information amongst the world because the world was infected. Yeah. We can't have a common approach to it because of money. That is the only reason. Let's keep it real. And then this initiative to get these influencers to make sure they down one versus another, it's money, because they know, again, during this entire year and a half of all these issues that people have had, everyone's had their financial problems. People have lost jobs. People's influences have been off. So people have gone maybe more on the internet to try and make some kind of money, and maybe they've had some success. So the struggles people have financially because of what happened in the world, and just naturally whatever else happens with the levers of power, it's all based in people needing more money. So once people are in this position of, oh my God, how am I gonna eat? They're like, if you'd like to sow some disinformation, we'll give you money so you can eat. They like getting people in positions where they're vulnerable and need it, and then you use them to spread disinformation because you want to make more money. If we eliminate the money aspect of this, we might actually get somewhere. But instead, we're fighting over because people need to make money off of worldwide pain.
Absolutely, no, 100%. And also think about all the anti-vaxxers influencers who would be like, I'll do that. Hell yeah, I don't even believe in the vaccine. Yep. I'll disparage Pfizer for $100,000, sure.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.